Years ago, I sat across from a trader who was exhausted, not tired in the normal sense. He was emotionally drained. His eyes were red, his shoulders heavy, and his voice carried frustration. He said something I've heard thousands of times since then. I know everything. I've learned every strategy, but I still can't win. And I looked at him and said, "You're focused on the wrong things. Trading does not reward effort. It does not reward intelligence. And it definitely does not reward obsession. The market doesn't care how badly you want it. It only responds to how well you think. If you want to win in trading, you don't need to focus on 100 things. You only need to focus on 3. And the moment you truly understand these 3, the market stops being your enemy and starts becoming your mirror. The first thing you must focus on is uncertainty. Most traders hate uncertainty. They fight it. They try to eliminate it. They want guarantees. They want to know what will happen next. And the moment they place a trade, their mind starts demanding certainty. But here's the truth most people never accept. The market is uncertain by nature. Every single trade is a probability, nothing more. Even the best setup in the world can fail. And the worst looking setup can win. The trader in my story was losing because he believed that being right was the goal. He thought trading was about predicting the future. So every losing trade felt like a personal failure. And every winning trade made him emotionally attached. I told him something that changed everything. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. When you truly accept uncertainty, fear loses its power. You stop hesitating. You stop forcing trades. You stop moving stops out of hope. You stop closing winners early out of fear. You take the trade because your edge says it's time. And once you're in, the outcome no longer controls you. Because you already accepted that anything can happen. Winning traders don't eliminate uncertainty. They embrace it. And that's why they're free. The second thing you must focus on is discipline without emotion. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to follow rules. It's not. True discipline is what happens when your beliefs are aligned with reality. The market doesn't operate on fairness. It doesn't reward patience immediately. It doesn't punish mistakes consistently. Sometimes you do everything right and still lose. Sometimes you break every rule and still win. This is where most traders get destroyed. They start believing their emotions. After a win, they feel invincible. After a loss, they feel broken. The trader I mentioned earlier would abandon his plan after 2 losses. Not because the plan stopped working, but because he couldn't handle how the losses made him feel. His decisions were no longer based on logic. They were based on pain avoidance. I told him, the moment your emotions make decisions for you, the market owns you. Discipline means you execute your plan exactly the same way, whether you feel confident or terrified. Whether you just had 3 wins or 3 losses. Your emotions are allowed to exist, but they are not allowed to vote. And here's the secret. When you stop trying to control emotions and start focusing on behavior, the emotions eventually calm down on their own. Professional traders are not fearless. They are emotionally neutral. They've trained themselves to act consistently in an inconsistent environment. The third thing you must focus on is thinking in series, not in single trades. This is the one that changes everything. Most traders live and die by the last trade. If they win, they feel smart. If they lose, they feel stupid. Their confidence rises and falls with every tick. But trading doesn't work that way. I asked that trader a simple question. If a casino loses one hand of blackjack, do they shut down the building? Of course not. Why? Because casinos think in series. They know the edge plays out over hundreds and thousands of hands. They don't emotionally react to individual outcomes. The moment you start thinking like a casino, your mindset shifts. A loss becomes just a business expense. A win becomes just one result in a long series. You stop trying to recover losses quickly. You stop revenge trading. You stop increasing position size out of ego. Your job is no longer to win every trade. Your job is to execute your edge flawlessly over a large sample size. When you do that, consistency becomes inevitable. I watched that trader transform over time. Not because he found a better strategy, but because he stopped trying to control the market and started controlling himself. He focused on uncertainty, discipline, and thinking in series. And one day he told me something I'll never forget. The market didn't change. I did. If you're listening to this right now and you feel stuck, understand this. You are not broken. The market is not against you. You are just focused on the wrong things. Let go of the need to be right. Let go of emotional decision making. Let go of judging yourself by one trade. Focus on these 3 things and trading stops being a battle. It becomes a process. And when you respect the process, the results eventually have no choice but to follow. Let me start with the hardest truth in trading. You will never know what happens next. Most traders don't lose because of bad strategies. They lose because deep down, they are still searching for certainty. They want confirmation. They want guarantees. They want the market to behave. I remember a trader who would stare at the chart after entering a position, almost begging the candles to move in his direction. Every tick against him felt like a threat. Not to his account, but to his identity. That's the problem. The moment you expect certainty from an uncertain environment, fear is born. And fear makes you hesitate, interfere, and sabotage perfectly good trades. Winning traders accept uncertainty before they enter. They already know this trade might lose. And because of that, the loss doesn't shock them. It doesn't shake them. It doesn't define them. When uncertainty is accepted, the mind becomes calm. When the mind is calm, execution becomes clean. And clean execution is where consistency begins. Keynote 20: Control yourself, not the market. Every losing trader believes the same lie. If I can just control the market, I'll be fine. So they add indicators, they change time frames, they jump strategies, they chase news, they overtrade. But the market was never the problem. I once asked a trader, "What made you exit that trade early?" He said, "It didn't feel right." That single sentence explained years of losses. Feelings are not signals, emotions are not information. They are reactions to beliefs you haven't examined yet. Professional traders don't try to feel confident. They focus on behaving consistently. They follow their rules even when fear is loud, even when doubt is screaming. You don't need emotional control, you need behavioral control. When you stop reacting and start responding, the market loses its power over you. Keynote 31: Trade means nothing. This is where most traders collapse psychologically. They win one trade and feel like a genius. They lose one trade and feel like a failure. That emotional roller coaster destroys clarity. The market does not reward individual trades. It rewards series of trades executed with discipline. A casino doesn't panic because someone wins a hand. They don't celebrate because they win one either. They trust the edge over time. The moment you stop judging yourself by the last trade, something powerful happens. Pressure disappears, you stop forcing results, you stop revenge trading. A loss becomes normal, a win becomes normal, and normal is where consistency lives. Think in batches, think in months, think in probabilities. One trade is just noise. Keynote 4a: Detach your self-worth from your results. This is the silent killer of traders. They don't just trade money, they trade their self-esteem. When they lose, they feel small. When they win, they feel worthy. That emotional attachment creates fear of loss, fear of missing out, fear of being wrong. And fear destroys decision-making. The market is not a judge. It's not a test of intelligence or value. It's simply an environment where probabilities play out. The day you stop asking the market to validate you, trading becomes lighter, cleaner, more professional. You are not your last trade. You are not your equity curve. You are the one who executes the plan. And when you finally understand that, winning stops being forced. It becomes a byproduct. Focus on these 4 things, not indicators, not predictions, not opinions, and slowly, quietly, without drama, you'll notice something change. The market will feel the same, but you won't. Control yourself, not the market. I've watched traders sit in front of their screens for 10 hours straight, trying to bend the market to their will. They adjust stops every few seconds. They add positions out of hope. They exit early out of fear. And when the trade finally ends, they say the same thing every time. The market tricked me. But the market never tricked anyone. What really happened is this. The trader lost control of himself. I remember a man who had a solid plan. Clear entries, clear exits, proper risk. On paper, he was profitable. But in real trading, he kept losing. Not because the plan failed, but because he couldn't sit with discomfort. The moment price moved slightly against him, his heart rate changed. His breathing changed. And without realizing it, his hand moved the mouse. He closed the trade early. Not because the plan told him to, but because his nervous system couldn't handle uncertainty. That's when I told him something he didn't want to hear. You are not trading the market. You are trading your emotions. The market does not respond to your fear. It does not slow down because you feel stressed. It does not speed up because you feel confident. It does what it does. Trying to control the market is a form of ego. It's the belief that if you think hard enough, watch closely enough, or suffer long enough, the market will reward you. It won't. Control in trading only exists in one place, your behavior. Can you place a trade exactly according to your rules, even when it feels uncomfortable? Can you hold a position without interference when nothing is actually wrong? Can you take a loss without immediately trying to make the money back? These are not market skills. They are mastery skills. Most traders think they need more confidence. They don't. Confidence comes after consistency, not before it. What they need is trust, trust in their edge, trust in their process, trust that following their rules is enough. And here's something important. Emotional control does not mean emotions disappear. Fear will show up. Doubt will show up. Excitement will show up. The difference is this. Professionals notice emotions but do not obey them. They don't ask, how do I feel about this trade? They ask, did I follow my plan? When behavior becomes the measure of success, emotions slowly lose their grip. The trader I mentioned earlier didn't suddenly become fearless. He became consistent. He stopped trying to feel good while trading. He focused on doing the right thing repeatedly. And over time, something remarkable happened. His emotions settled down on their own. When you stop fighting the market and start taking responsibility for your actions, trading becomes simpler. Not easier, but cleaner. Control yourself. Let the market be free. That's where real discipline is born. One trade means nothing. Most traders say they understand this, but very few actually live it. I remember a trader who would check his profit and loss every few seconds. Green made him confident. Red made him anxious. His mood rose and fell with every candle. He wasn't trading anymore. He was emotionally negotiating with the market. That's when I asked him a simple question. If your next trade loses, does that mean your strategy is broken? He didn't answer.